Hello everyone, welcome to another Pokemon XY anime discussion. Today we're going to talk about Ash's Pokemon. If the color looks a little bit different than my previously Pokemon update that I talked about this particular video that I was going to do, that's because the white balance was horrible. So hopefully I fixed it. It still looks a little bit weird. It's a little bit more colorful. The white balance is hopefully fixed. I apologize for that. I hate dealing with webcams, especially when the microphone doesn't work. But anyway, today we're going to talk about the future of Ash's team. If you don't know, at this particular moment, even though I probably should have made this video after things happened, but basically but we really need to go over this now, just in case this comes up. So, with the possibility or the basic guarantee that Ash's Goodra is going to be released by April 30th, which is in a few days. Yeah, that's about right. It's a few days, I believe. I'll probably upload this before then, so yeah, in a few days. It's tomorrow. No, just kidding. No, it's Saturday, okay? I'm recording this on a Saturday, so I'm not going to probably upload this on a Saturday, but whatever. Anyway, and everything weird happened. Sorry about that. The sun got covered by clouds. I apologize. Man, that looks horrible looking. But anyway, oh, there we go. We're getting some color back. Thanks, sun. Okay, by sun, I meant the giant yellow thing. The yellow thing's the sun. Okay. Anyway, what we needed to go over is that since Goodra is being released, therefore my predictions of Ash's team has gone all wonky. If you know anything about my predictions of Ash's team, I said that there were some certain guidelines that the writers were following, and based on the team that Ash was getting, it seemed likely this was happening. So what do I mean is, if you go back to my videos long ago, what I said was that Ash's team followed a certain pattern. Ash would always capture a Pokemon that had never been caught in the team, and it would be caught in the order of the Pokedex. And this was true for Ash's 4 Pokemon that he caught in Kalos. Froakie was the first Froakie he ever saw, and the first Froakie we actually saw within the anime. And Ash caught it, and it was the first one in the Pokedex. Then his first fletchling, not the viewers, but his first fletchling he ever saw, he ended up catching it, and it was the next one in the Pokedex. Then Hawlucha, then Gumi. And that is why, at a time, I believe that Phantup, as well as Bergmite, were the only possible choices for Ash's last 2 slots. However, Goodra being released as it has screws that formula up, because, well, frankly, he's not going to get Bergmite and Phantup, or Phantup and then Bergmite, so. But that kind of screwed up the predictions a lot, because it opened a whole lot of choices. So what I did is I compiled a list here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Pokemon that might be caught by Ash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them aren't very likely, and I'll explain why, but they are still possibilities that could indeed be caught by Ash. With the capture of Noibat being the last Pokemon within the Pokedex that Ash could catch, since I doubt he's going to capture a Diancie, a Volcanion, or even a Hoopa. His last slot still remains a mystery. If you want to talk about Mega Evolutions, as I said, there is a Mega Evolution discussion. I don't know if I discussed this in my update, but there is a Mega Evolution discussion thing where I discuss the Mega Evolutions, not of the Pokemon he has, but any brand new captures. So we're going to ignore those as possibilities, and we're just going to focus solely on 6th Gen Pokemon. Not Mega Evolution 6th Gen Pokemon, but Mega Evolution, or 6th Gen Pokemon, the brand new species that have no temporary connection to past generations. But, you know, like Pokemon like Sylveon is okay because it's a permanent change, but nothing regarding about Mega Evolutions in terms of captures for Ash is going to be mentioned in this particular video. It's a possibility, but we're going to focus only on 6th Gen Pokemon. So anyway, what are these possibilities? Well, I've got a list of them in the order of which they appear in the Pokedex, and I will just list them, and then I'll go into them in depth. The first one is Flabebe, then Skiddo, then Esper, then Honedge, then Swirlix, Amara, Carbink, Klefki, Phantup, and Bergmite. Those are the only likely options that I can see Ash getting. Now, the writers at this point can do whatever they want. They can give him a Furfrou, even though that's shown up many times before. They can give him a Litleo, even though Litleo doesn't offer any sort of anything to Ash's team. Because Fletchender and Talonflame can take care of anything else, and all the other Pokemon can cover anything else that Litleo would have to offer, so there would be really no point. Let's just focus on Fletchender and Talonflame, for example. Because if Ash is getting Noibat, he's already going to have 3 flying types. The last thing he needs is more types that he already has. Of course, I believe that would exclude here. Nothing. Okay, never mind. Okay, so let's go in depth and talk about each of these Pokemon. This might be a long video, so prepare for a probably long video. Let's discuss Flabebe. It's one of the options that I just don't think is likely. And the reason why is, along with another Pokemon, which is the third one that I'm going to discuss, is that it's already shown up and it's already bonded or shown to be having a connection with Bonnie. So having Ash capture a Flabebe and evolving it possibly into Florges would be a little weird. I would think that if he was going to get a Florges, he might as well just capture the blue Florges, but then again, that particular Pokemon has babies. Apparently, if you saw the trailer, you know that that particular Florges in the Goodra episodes is already a mothered figure, so it's not going to be caught. But I just don't see it as likely because it'd be kind of weird that Bonnie had this great storyline with said Pokemon, for example, and wanted to keep it, but turned out it had another trainer or whatever, and then just have Ash come in and capture another Pokemon just doesn't really make any sense to me, but it might happen. Next one is Skiddo, and just like the other Pokemon that I want that's also a grass type, this one is not likely just like the other one, and the reason why is for Skiddo at least, there is no particular reason for Skiddo to be on Ash's team. At this particular point, you know, it wouldn't probably benefit at all against Valerie. Of course, Valerie's probably going to be a battle before Ash would even capture Skiddo, so then just have it be Noibat and Skiddo as would be kind of weird. It could still happen, I just don't see it as likely because, well, I don't think it's going to be very beneficial against Olympia and Wolfric, and I have a feeling that it would be caught after Olympia, which means it would only be used against Wolfric, and unfortunately Wolfric, as far as I know, does not have anything that would be useful. He could have Amara or Aurorus, which might give Skiddo some credit, but I just don't see it as likely anymore because let's just put it this way, the gyms and the typing distribution for 6th Gen is probably the worst, and this is more of the game's fault than the anime's fault here, because at this point, Ash's last Pokemon is going to be pretty weird, actually. I don't know what it's going to be like, and there's really nothing that I can think of that would make any sense, except the ones that are already on this list. So anyway, let's move on. Skiddo could happen, but I don't see it as likely, just like the other Pokemon, which is disappointing. And I'm going to mention it's going to be the second to last Pokemon. Anyway, the next Pokemon that might be captured, but I don't see it as likely, is Esper. And the reason why is just like Flabebe, it had a bonding moment with Bonnie, and it would be weird for Ash to get a Esper and evolve it into a Meowstic or whatever, especially when you consider that against Olympia she's going to have both male and female Meowstic. I think we're not going to get Ash with a Esper or a Meowstic. It could still happen, it is a psychic type, but again, I just don't see it as likely. Could happen, but again, I don't see it as likely. The next Pokemon afterwards is a Honedge. Of the ones on my list, that's one of the 4 Pokemon that actually seems like it could happen, that actually might have a lucky chance. Honedge, as far as I'm aware, has not shown up within the anime, but that's not the reason why. It is a Ghost and Steel type, so that might be a reason why the writers might, or the executive producers might approve of it being captured. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I feel like it's a lot more likely than these other Pokemon for various reasons, but could still happen, or Honedge I think could happen. I just don't know. There's still Olympia and Wolfric to consider if I'm wrong, and if Ash's last Pokemon of Kalos isn't caught after Olympia, then it might be very well used against Olympia, but it definitely still has Wolfric to consider because Steel being super effective against Ice. Anyway, moving on. Next we have Swirlix, which is a Fairy type. Fairy type doesn't really offer anything in terms of gyms, but it would be an interesting Fairy type and one of the few Fairy types that I... Well, actually, there are 2 other Fairy types on this list after Flabebe and Swirlix is likely, but I see it as likely because we haven't really seen Swirlix all that much, and, you know, it might be a possibility. They might bring it back and give Ash a Swirlix. I excluded Spritzy because of Valerie. I don't think they're going to give Ash a Spritzy because of Valerie, and it is a pink bird Pokemon, very feminine. I know that may not be a good enough excuse, but I don't see it as a possibility, so I would think Swirlix would be the better choice. So that's why Swirlix is on there, and I think it's likely because there doesn't seem to be anything against it, as far as I'm aware. So it could still happen. So anyway, let's go on to the next one. The next one is Amara. And the reason why I don't think that's likely is because of that Amara episode that we saw with Amara and Aurorus and the fossil Pokemon, and that's why I don't think Amara is going to be caught by Ash, but I still think it's a possibility. I think given that Goodra was released and that it could still happen, it being rock type does give it a little bit more advantage over Wolfric's team. But for the most part, I don't see it as likely because it would be weird to see either Amara coming back and being caught by Ash or there being an introduction of a different Amara that Ash captures. Unless, of course, Ash finds a fossil and it turns into an Amara. The reason why I'm discounting Tyrunt as a possibility because it is a dragon type, and even though it would be helpful against Wolfric as opposed to not being helpful against Wolfric due to its dragon typing, because it's also a rock type, is because that would be weird to give Ash 3 dragon types and 3 flying types within a single generation. I already kind of like the idea, even though I don't really care for Noibat personally. I mean, I used to like it, but not really anymore. I mean, I will enjoy Ash's Noibat or whatever if it is his Noibat, but I'm just saying Tyrunt would have been a better Pokemon to give Ash, you know, if it had to be another dragon type. Because at least that would have been interesting. But who knows. But again, I don't expect Tyrunt to be with Ash, which is why I didn't add it to the list, and I preferred Amara. I had some trouble picking the Pokemon that Ash might get. The next one is Carbink. I initially excluded that due to the Diancie movie and how Carbink had a relation to Diancie. But I still think it's a possibility. It's a rock fairy type, would be helpful against Valerie. If indeed it is caught, it would be a standalone. It doesn't evolve. Well, technically it doesn't evolve. I don't care what the Pokedex says in relation to Diancie. You can't evolve a Carbink into Diancie, no matter how much you try. It's related to Diancie, and Carbink mutated to become a Diancie, but you can't do that within the game, so it's still a standalone Pokemon, even though it has a relation to Diancie. So, for Carbink, I feel like it's likely because even though it did show up in the movie, it's still a rock fairy type, and it could still be caught. The interesting thing is, though, if it is caught, with Carbink and Hawlucha being on the team as small Pokemon, I have a feeling that they could fully evolve Ash's team otherwise. And it would be the first team where all the Pokemon that could evolve were to fully evolve. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it would be really nice to think about that. That also goes for the next following Pokemon, which is also a fairy type that can evolve. I'm pretty sure you can guess what that is because there's not that many out there. So I think Carbink is possibly the last possible choice that I see Ash capturing everything, and that would probably be Klefki. Klefki being useful against Valerie, not really useful against Olympia, but it's not going to be anything wrong with it, and it being useful against Wolfric would kind of seem like it would be likely, although it would be probably caught after Olympia, and I will discuss why I'm not really sure I like that idea in my capture rate episode where I talk about the rate of which captures are caught and at the timeline within the chronological whatever blah 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 blah. But anyway, I do think Klefki is pretty much a likely choice if not Carbink. It's a steel fairy type, would be interesting. I would have preferred James get it if anyone, but at this particular point, why not, The thing that I would have to say about Klefki is that it would be a very weird Pokemon, but Ash has had weird Pokemon before. Of the Pokemon that I've listed, it's probably the weirdest one. Hone Edge, when it becomes an Aegislash, I think that Pokemon is okay. I just don't really care for Doublade. Hone Edge I already have some issues with when it's not sheathed. And I always prefer Aegislash. But, whatever. So it's like the last two Pokemon on the list, I don't see them as likely, and I'll get into them why I don't think they're likely. First off is my favorite choice of all of these, even though at this particular point I have to give up on it. And it is, of course, Fantup. I want Ash with a Fantup more than you could possibly imagine. It was the only Pokemon that I basically wanted Ash to have after all the starters were not going to go to Ash, and Ash had to have something with the grass typing. Due to the horrible type distribution that 6th Gen is well known for, because Diggersby is the only ground type that any trainer can catch. Zygarde, that dragging ground Pokemon just is not likely because it's a legendary Pokemon or whatever, so I'm just a little disappointed here that I believe Fantup is not likely going to happen. If Fantup would be caught before Olympia, then maybe Fantup would have a chance, but at this particular point, Ash's final Pokemon, if he's going to get a final Pokemon and it's not a Mega Evolution, it's going to be caught after Olympia, unfortunately, before Wolfric, and unfortunately, Fantup is not going to have a chance in Crazy Land of doing anything against Wolfric, because Wolfric just does not have anything. There's nothing weak against ghost types that Wolfric has, because Cryogonal is not a ghost type, it's pure ice. Abomasnow is ice, grass, so there's nothing Fantup could use then, and Avalugg, Fantup might be used against Wolfric, because when would it ever be used? And I would hope that if Fantup was caught, that there are a lot of battle tournaments between Olympia and Wolfric, where Fantup just gets used a lot to make up for the fact that it's probably not going to be used against Wolfric, and if it does, it's probably not going to do very well. Grottle in Candace was fine. It was Ash's newest capture or evolution, and Ash didn't use Fantup against Byron or Fantina, so it made sense to give Grottle something. Staraptor was super effective against Medicham, and due to its close combat was useful against ice types, but as far as I'm aware, Fantup can't learn anything useful. Because Fantup's signature move is Forest Curse, unlike Pumpkaboo's Trick or Treat, which means that unfortunately Phantup does not really have a fire type that's going to take advantage of that. I don't know if it can learn a flying type or a poison type, but it's really not going to be very helpful. At best, it might have a shot against Cryogonal. Maybe. Maybe they'll think Cryogonal is a ghost type or a psychic type, and it might be used against that. Abomasnow, I just don't think it's going to be possible because it's probably just going to use Blizzard. Avalugg, I think, is just too bulky of a Pokemon to give Phantup even a shot. So that kind of just leaves Cryogonal, and who knows, since they've screwed up Valerie and Olympia's team, who knows what Wolfric's team's going to be like. Because I at least expect Avalugg, but I don't know if there's going to be Abomasnow or Cryogonal, since that was two of the ice types that the previous ice type trainers had. Candace had a Abomasnow, and that was her signature move, or Pokemon, and then Bryson of the previous generation. Candace was 4th gen. Bryson for 5th gen had a Cryogonal. It was not his important Pokemon. It was not his signature, but it was still a Pokemon. So maybe if Wolfric has an Aurorus, maybe Phantup could possibly be used along with the possibility to capture of Skiddo. But a grass Pokemon at this point does not seem very likely. Which means the last and final Pokemon that is right before Noibat in the Pokédex that could be captured, but I don't see it as likely, is, in fact, as I've mentioned before, Bergmite. Before it was likely, but now I don't think it's likely because at this particular point, now that I've thought about it, what would be the point of Bergmite? If Goodra, being a dragon type, was the only reason it was caught for the gym battle with Clement, then I can't imagine why Bergmite would be caught by Ash. Unless, of course, they decide to give Wolfric and Aurorus as his Mega Ultimate Pokemon, because at the very least, well, except for Corinna, although in the games, her main signature Pokemon was Lucario. Within the gym battle, it was Hawlucha. Outside of that, they did indeed give the gym leaders their signature Pokemon. Viola had Vivian in the games. She had it in the anime. Grant had a Tyrant. He had it in the games and anime. Third one is Corinna. She had a Mega Lucario in the games, so she had a Mega Lucario in the anime, so I guess that works. It wasn't really a 6th gen Pokemon, but I guess we'll ignore that. Ramos had his Go-Goat. Clement even had Heliolisk, even though Luxray was his main Pokemon. Clement is a little iffy because he is traveling with Ash, so those particular gym leaders kind of are an exception to the rule, but he did have Heliolisk within the games, and I think that was his main Pokemon. I think he had Heliolisk, Emolga, and Magnemite or Magneton, so at the very least, he did have that particular Pokemon. Valerie has been shown to have Sylveon within the game, you've already seen her with Sylveon, I'm sure if you've watched my other videos. And, of course, we've seen in the opening that Olympia will, in fact, have Meowstic. And it looks like 2 Meowstic, for that matter. A male and female Meowstic. So, that would leave Wolfric and his main Pokemon. His main 6th gen Pokemon, basically, that was within the games, was an Avalugg. So, I don't see him having an Aurorus to replace Avalugg. Maybe to have it alongside Avalugg, but not to replace it. Which is why I don't really think Bergmite is very likely, because before Bergmite was likely because it fit the trend of not having been seen in the anime, and it fit the order of the Pokédex if Goodra stayed, so that's why it would be the only reason to be caught. But at this particular point, I can't see any reason why Bergmite would be caught, because Noibat is being captured. It's already shown up in the anime, even though it was a minor appearance in a cave, I believe. Noibat is likely going to be caught by Ash, and now Noibat is the last Pokemon in the Pokédex, so at this particular point, I think it's going to be one of the other ones. Bergmite. See, the thing is, looking back, I can't think of any gym leader within the 6th gen that Ash actually battled with a Pokemon that he ended up getting. No one had Froakie Frogadier, no one had Fletchling or Fletchender or Talonflame. Of course, no one had a Flying Fire gym specialty, so that's probably why. Corinna didn't have Hawlucha. It was Ash instead that had Hawlucha. And no one had a Goodra. So I just can't see why Ash would get a Bergmite or even an Avalugg and then use it against Wulfric, who has his own Avalugg. Now, it's not confirmed that Wulfric will in fact have a Avalugg, but I'm just saying that it seems very likely that he will, but maybe you can understand it. Why would Ash get a Bergmite if at this particular point it wouldn't make any sense? You know, Bergmite isn't really going to do anything. It might have an advantage against Abomasnow if Wulfric even has one. You know, because Abomasnow is at least a grass type. I don't know if... I think ice types resist ice types, so I think maybe Abomasnow is neutral, I think. I think ice types are only resistant to ice types. If I can look up real quick, yeah. I think it's the only thing that that ice types resist is ice types. So Abomasnow would be neutral, but the other Pokemon would be resistant. So it's a little unfortunate that that's the case. Yep, it does resist ice types, which is unfortunate, but yeah, it's weird that ice types only resist ice types. You know, honestly, that doesn't make any sense to me, but I guess it had to have some resistance. Because think about it. If you have an ice cube, or if you have something made of ice and you have something other made of ice, if you were to slam those two concepts together, they would probably crack and break. So I don't see how that makes any sense to me. But, like I said, they probably had to give ice type a resistance to something, and for whatever reason, they didn't want to give it something else. So it could have been fairy types, but nope. Oh well, so ice types resist ice types, so that's why I don't see Bergmite as a possibility, on top of Wulfric already having Avalugg. Bergmite just, at this particular point, it just wouldn't work for me. I mean, it at least would be resistant as well and would be used kind of like Ash would use Bug against Bug, or Electric versus Electric Pikachu versus Clement's Pokemon. So it might be used just simply because it is an Ice type, but for its capture, I can't exactly see why it would be captured at this particular point. Because at this particular point, even though 6th Gen is similar to 3rd generation, it's a completely different entity at this particular point. Because because no gym leader in 3rd Gen traveled with Ash and stopped to prepare for the gym. Although it would have been hilarious to see Norman traveling with Ash. Ah, Shay, look what I found. No, I'm just kidding. Norman, why are you traveling with kids? Officer Denny may need to look into that. But anyway, yeah. So 3rd gen or 6th gen is its own entirely entity. It shares similarities with 3rd gen. Don't get me wrong, but it is an entirely different entity at this particular point. And quite frankly, having Bergmite be captured as a nod to Snorunt just doesn't make any sense. You know, because personally, I actually enjoyed Snorunt and Glalie. I don't really care about Bergmite or Avalugg. Bergmite is okay. It kind of looks kind of cute-ish, kind of has that kind of cool purpley designed eyes that kind of make it look really neat in some fashion or another, but at this particular point, I just couldn't see the point. If Wulfric was a grass type or a flying type, maybe I could have seen a point. Oh, no, never mind, Ramos. Oh, Ramos, Dustin, did you forget about Ramos? Yeah, I think you forgot about Ramos. But, you know, ground type, maybe? Yeah, Diggersby. That's the only thing it would have had. Well, it may have had Crocodile or Crocorock, and whatever random ground type you can find in Kalos. But that's just the way that I see it. Those are the Pokemon that I see likely. If there's something that I missed, I will discuss in the comments why I don't see it as likely. Maybe because it's been overused, or it's not likely because it already belongs to somebody else, such as Sylveon. I don't expect Eevee to go to Ash. It would be weird to see Ash getting a Noibat and an Eevee. Because at this particular point, I would agree that would be a little overkill. But yeah, I expect Serena to have an Eevee, so Sylveon just doesn't seem likely. The other Pokemon that I didn't list are either overused or just wouldn't make any sense to give it to Ash at this particular point, such as Litleo. I know Litleo has something to offer against Wolfric. It technically hasn't shown up in the anime yet, but it just wouldn't make any sense. I mean, I'm sure some people would love to see Ash with 2 fire types on one team, because if you know anything about 5th gen, he had 2 water types and 2 grass types. He had Snivy, Leavanny, Oshawott, and Palpitoad, and he only had Pignite as his fire type. Oh, until you consider the in arc where he actually brought back Charizard, and he also had Pignite on the same team, and there was actually a little bit storyline there of Pignite being bros with Charizard, if you remember that. So, as interesting as it would be for Litleo to be on his team, at this particular point, it would just be a waste of Pokemon, and I honestly would prefer Trubbish at this particular point. I would definitely prefer Trubbish. Trubbish comes back, it's poison typed, at least it would be interesting. I just think Litleo is just too boring. It's a normal fire type. If it was a fire poison type, or at least Pyro was a fire poison, and they were going for a Manticore thing there, that would have been awesome. Then I would have been fine. But a normal fire type just doesn't suit me for Ash's team at this particular point, especially since there's Fletchender, and there's likely going to be Talonflame. That Litleo would just be completely pointless. I mean, there's still Wolfric, but at this particular point, I'd prefer not to see it happening. Furfrou, as I've said before, has been used to death, so why it wouldn't have been caught by Ash at this particular point doesn't make any sense to me. I can't think of any other Pokemon, because they've already probably been caught by the main cast. 6th gen introduced the least amount of Pokemon, which is why I'm disappointed. The distribution is horrible. Let me just look at my, let's just look at the 6th gen Pokemon real quick. Chespin already belongs to Clement. Fennekin, Braixen, Serena. Ash already has a Froakie. Clement has a Bunnelby. Clement and Bonnie have a Dedenne. Flabébé already mentioned. Swirlix already mentioned. Spritzy already mentioned. Sylveon pretty much already guaranteed to be Serena's. Furfrou already mentioned. Esper mentioned. Fletchling mentioned. Oh, this is an incomplete list. My apologies. I saw a Trevenant there, but I didn't see these. Okay, there we go. Okay. Scatterbug and Vivillon at this particular point, 4 flying types. If Ash gets a Noibat, is just going to be pure ridiculous. I would definitely prefer Litleo over Vivillon any day. Definitely, even though Vivillon does offer a bug type, at this particular point, for the balance of Ash's team, I would definitely prefer a Litleo. Definitely. At the very least, I will give you that. Flabébé already mentioned, Skiddo already mentioned, Pancham goes to Serena, or Serena already has a Pancham. Furfo I mentioned, Esper I mentioned, Honedge I mentioned, Swirlix mentioned, Inkay goes to James. Binacle! Now that's Pokemon that I didn't mention, and I don't see it as likely because I think they're only going to focus on Greninja or Frogadier. And yes, it is rock type, but at this particular point, it's little not to my liking. Same with Skrelp and Dragalge. Although that particular reason is because it is a fish-like Pokemon, I can't imagine it battling on land, even though Skrelp does have has tripod fin things that it might be able to battle, but it's just going to be awkward as heck, and there wouldn't be any purpose. Clauncher does not offer anything, at least Binacle offers a rock type. Clauncher, if it was part electric type, would be interesting, but at this particular point, just wouldn't make any sense. Helioptile and Heliolisk, Clement pretty much already takes care of that. I mentioned Tyrant, already mentioned Mara, Sylveon, Ash already has a Hawlucha, already mentioned Dedenne, mentioned Carbink, Goomy, Slagugudra has already been caught by Ash. Would be hilarious if Ash caught another Goomy and fully evolved it within 15 episodes, though. Ash has 2 Gudra! No, just kidding. That would be funny, though. Well, not... funny, just be like, oh, it'd be interesting to see that, but it's not going to happen. Mentioned Klefki, Fanta, already mentioned, Pumpkaboo, Jessie, Bergmite, already mentioned, Noibat has already been mentioned, and those are pretty much all of the 6th gen Pokemon there are. Not very many, but that's what you get when there are only 32 Pokemon lines that anyone can catch within the team. Which is kind of why I don't really like that, Serena Clement got a Chespin and Fennekin, because, Ash probably could have used those a little bit more. But Serena had to have a starter, and they wanted to distribute the starters with Chespin. I definitely prefer Phantom over Chespin, but... oh, would it would have been great to have Ash with all 3 starters and have them fully evolve. Having Ash with the Greninja, Chestnut, and Delphox would be a dream come true. They disappointed me with 5th gen. I didn't really like Emboar. Well, that was the only one I really didn't like. I didn't like Samurott at first, but I got over it and thought it would have been a cool team member for Ash. And Superior, I've always liked Superior. Definitely Superior, hands down. For Ash, I would have loved to see Samurott, but Samurott, in my opinion, I prefer Superior. Superior. Just because sorry? Just because Superior had a regal look and it had a really nice design, which is why I wanted Ash to have it. It just had the nice coloring scheme. It was so amazing to look at. It was like my favorite fully evolved starter. Then we got Samurott and Emboar, and that turned into that particular thing. But Ash didn't end up doing that. He didn't have any fully evolved starter last generation. At best, we only got a Pignite. Just a Pignite, whatever. So, disappointed me there, Riders. You gave Ash all of the starters. Didn't do anything with them. Only Tepig evolved, or Pokeboo in the Japanese. That's the only thing that evolved. Thanks, Riders. Appreciate that very much. Anyway, Game Freak, if you can at least introduce 100 Pokemon, then you need to find some new blood, because, I really like the designs of 6th generation, all of them. I mean, Aromatisse is ugly, but it's still technically a nice Pokemon, It's ugly. Aromatisse is ugly, don't get me wrong, it is hideously ugly, but it still has that appeal that 6th gen offers, that it's still colorful and it still has nice appeal, and that's why 6th gen, in terms of the Pokemon designs, is my favorite, is because it's so colorful this generation. All the other generations has been pretty bland. There's been some colorful Pokemon like Beautifly, but the overall color scheme of the other Pokemon have been bland, which is probably why I didn't like 5th gen that much. The colors were bland, they weren't very exciting. There may have been some beautiful colors in some of the Pokemon. I did like some of the Pokemon, but overall 5th gen was the worst designs of Pokemon that I've ever seen. I'm not saying they aren't Pokemon. I'm not that petty. I'm not like other people who can't accept a Pokemon just because it's ugly. I accept a Pokemon even if it's hideously ugly, and I'd rather stab my eyeballs, okay? Yeah, I'd rather that, but, at least I still admit it is a Pokemon, but people are just like, Pokemon is ruined because look at those horrible designs. I'm not like that at all, There are some really ugly animals in real life that, if they were adapted into Pokemon, wouldn't be any more attractive, mind you. Like Aromatisse. At least flamingos look nice. No, just kidding. Just kidding. It's not a flamingo Pokemon. I don't know what it is, but it's not a flamingo Pokemon. I was just making a joke. Um, again, Aromatisse is ugly. It's. I don't know why Spritzy evolves. At least Spritzy is cute, but Aromatisse is. It's like if that were to walk in a modeling runway. If Aromatisse were to walk just like that down a runway, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would be kind of disgusted. Not very attractive. You know what I'm saying? So, but I still accept it as a Pokemon. It's still a Pokemon there, and I'm sure if Ash were to hypothetically get Aromatisse, I would still like Ash's Aromatisse. Even though I'd vomit every time I saw it. No, just kidding. But it's still a Pokemon. I'm not petty like other people out there that can't accept a Pokemon. Even 5th gen, there were some horrible Pokemon there, but I still accepted them as Pokemon. But other people are like, they just turn their nose up at certain Pokemon because they have their own particular likes and what they expect Pokemon to be. Well, guess what? Pokemon are mythical creatures, monsters that could be based on anything and everything, as we've seen since first generation. Pile of Sludge, Grimer, and Muck. A Magnemite, a Ball, Voltorb. But you know what? They're still Pokemon. So all you people out there that hate the new generation of Pokemon and probably why 6th gen doesn't have as many Pokemon, well, thank you. Thank you for the horrible distribution that Game Freak did this generation just because you turned your nose up. There could have been stinkers in 6th gen that would have been ugly, but overall I enjoyed the Pokemon 6th gen. So I'm just saying that I am a little disappointed that there is hardly any Pokemon to choose from. At this particular point, Ash might as well get a Mega Evolution. Honestly, I've already discussed what Mega Evolution I felt was likely. I don't know which one was the most likely, since it was completely personal and opinion-based, but at the very least, maybe we can get Sceptile back and Mega Evolve it, but I don't know. So this covers what I think Ash is going to go over, the horrible distribution of 6th gen, had to discuss it. Because 32 Pokemon lines. 32 Pokemon. That's not a lot. That is not a lot, and the type distribution is horrible in 6th gen. There's only one brand new bug line. There's technically only one ground type. It's just that they only wanted to introduce 72 Pokemon, and yet they did it horrible distributions, At the very least, we got a fairy type gym, and there's a whole load of fairy types introduced, but whatever. Except Valerie within the games only ever had a Sylveon. Forget Spritzy, Swirlix, Carbink, and all the other ones. We'll just give her Sylveon, even though Spritzy and Swirlix would have been just so okay. So anyway, thank you for watching this particular capture speculation. What do you think is likely, and why do you think it's likely at this particular point when it's likely going to be caught after Olympia? And expect a capture discussion thing going on that's just about the timeline of captures and the rate of which captures are. Like, is it acceptable like 5th gen where he captures them one after another? Or is it acceptable like 3rd gen where the distribution is awful in terms of Ash's capture? And it's not necessarily Ash's captures. A lot of the things that I will discuss in that particular video might be with the other characters, but they're not as important because who really cares when Serena captures a Pokemon? I mean, I did disagree with... Well, anyway, I'm going to save all that particular discussion for the next video that I do. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.